Hi, Rachel back again after a pretty long break. It is now September 22nd and school is well underway and things are back to being crazy and hectic. But I thought I would carve out a little time today. We actually had some crazy rain weather here in Houston, and we ended up with a free day on Friday where school was canceled, and so I feel like I ended up with a little extra time to do house stuff and grading and knitting and stuff that needed to get done, and so I thought I would take advantage of that and podcast this morning. So I don't have a ton, and it shouldn't be super long, but I think I have enough that it should be interesting. And here is the normal spiel. Yarn equals joy. It is episode 13. As I said, it's September 22nd, my birthday month. So I have a few little goodies to show you that I gifted myself for my birthday. And then you can find me as Rachel Book Girl on Instagram or Rachel on Ravelry. So if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new, I hope you like what you see. I hope you hit like and subscribe, and we can grow this little tiny bit of the internet knitting world a little bit more, which would be awesome. As you can see, I am proudly wearing my finished object, even though it is still ridiculously hot here, but I have really good air conditioning on. And it doesn't really go with what I'm wearing, but I wanted you to see it. This is Helen Stewart's rock pooling shawl. I am really, really happy with it. You'll see how happy I am in a second because I'm already making a second one. It's a really, really pretty pattern, and you can see that the color changes are just really neat. This is all done obviously with slip stitches. It's really simple. It would be great worn, sort of bandana style too, because you really get to see a different sort of look. The colors, I love it, and I think it blocked out really nicely. Just to remind you, I used two Madeline Tosh colors. Not Madeline Tosh, sorry. Whoops, two Suburban Stitcher. Sorry, Diane, if you watch. Suburban Stitcher colors in her DK. The yellow is Curry and the light pink is Evangeline. Really gorgeous yarn. Beautifully tonal and just gorgeous. And then this brick red color is Craggy Tweed from Farmer's Daughter in the Flight of the Crane color. And again, this was me trying to be on a budget and use stash, and I love these colors together. I don't know that I wouldn't normally have gone in search of these, but when I put them together, I really like them, and I really love the way it looks. So really excited about that, and you'll see version 2 in a second. My second and third finished objects are also the same thing, not the same as that, but the same as each other. And I think one of the things you'll notice in this podcast, and probably it's not coincidental that it has to do with the start of school, is when I find a pattern that looks much more complex than it actually is to knit, I want to make all the things in it, because I'm really tired. I get up really early, as we all are. I'm tired when I get home from school, and a complex knit that really is going to take a lot of my brain space is not necessarily going to be what I gravitate towards. I really gravitate towards comfort knitting, something that will produce a beautiful effect but will be soothing and allow me to get kind of into a relaxed Zen-like state. And the rock pooling shawl pattern was absolutely that, and I am working on a second one as a gift. And this hat pattern, which is called the Harrington hat, it was in the Nomadic Knits book. It's by Jody Brown of the Grocery Girls, obviously. And you can see that it just is an amazingly intricate looking pattern. It's kind of slouchy. And, but it's really pretty. I love this sort of part where the cables come up out of the brim of the hat. It's incredibly well thought out, and yet really, really memorizable and easy, and I just love it. This one has been blocked, and I have one of my great little labels on it with the, what do you call those, rivet? I think that's what it's called, rivet. Anyway, I just think this came out beautifully. It's in Mad Tosh DK and in Anais, or Anais, A-N-A-I-S. Yeah, A-N-A-I-S. And it looks a little stripy, but I'm totally fine with that. I think it just sort of adds to the texture and coolness of the hat. And I loved it so much, as I said, I did a second one. This one was out of a gorgeous Sweet Sparrow yarn, her Goldfinch DK in John Snow. And I'm gonna go close so you can sort of see that it is gray, but it has sort of flecks of brown and other things really subtly in it. And I think actually both of these hats would be fine for men or women. I don't know how this is going to block out. I am going to block it, and I assume it will grow a little because it's superwash. But there they are, next to each other. It's just, I cannot say enough about this pattern. It really, really, really is a beautiful hat pattern, and looks much more difficult than it actually is. I cannot recommend it enough. Okay, so that brings me to my next whip, which is in one of my project bags, which are Joan Mag bags on Etsy. It has a handle with some of the stitch markers on it in coordinating colors. It has a bottom with a coordinating fabric and gorgeous polka dots inside. And this version of the rock pooling shawl is going to be for my aunt, who's turning 80 in December. And we're having a big family gathering. And she lives in the Northeast, where it's a lot colder than in Texas. And again, I went stash diving, but as you can see, this has a really different effect. I'm almost halfway through, not quite. Helen Stewart's patterns, for anyone who doesn't know, are so beautifully written, and they actually tell you in the column on the right how far you are. So you're 20%, you're 40% of the shawl. So that's really nice. I want to show you something about these two yarns, because I don't know that you really can see, but they're from two different makers, two different companies, and yet the colors in the second color include this sort of tealy, greeny blue that's in the first color. And so rather than having a completely distinct pattern, as the other shawl I showed you did, this one is much more muted, and actually Helen Stewart's original had a similar feeling. I think that the first two colors together, hers was even more subtle than this. So I'll show you in the ball and then tell you what they are. This is Nice and Knit, and this is the gray that also has a lot of that blue-green color running through it. It's a Nice and Knit Luxe, so it's merino, wool, silk, and yak, and I could not find a color name on the tag, so I don't know what's up with that. But this is a Madeline Tosh, also from my stash, and it's her DK in Undergrowth. And when you see them together, you see that they both have these nice variations, and when the slip stitches happen, there are spots where the green blue kind of comes up. So it has a really pretty final effect, I think. My third color is another Mad Tosh DK. This one is in Cousteau, and it's a deeper bluey green, and I think that's going to sort of play really nicely with those colors and be really pretty at the end. So I'm really excited. It's going fast. It's something I can knit on after school when I'm really tired, and it's all good. So I don't have a ton of other things I'm working on. I literally just finished this hat this morning, so this was something that was on the needles and is no longer on the needles. And then I did, as we often do, I did cast on, where is it? One other thing. It's in my really cool Jezebel Bee bag, which I absolutely love. Really, really pretty. You can see the label. Can you see the label? I don't know. It's kind of washing out, but anyway, Jezebel Bee is the name. And this pattern is by Tammy Gore, who was a designer who was new to me, but whose name has come up on almost every podcast in the last couple weeks. And I think someone was actually making this cowl, and I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure it is a free pattern. It's called Butterbeer by Tammy Gore. It's really basic and simple. I'm not a big lacy cowl person. I think if you're going to wear a cowl, you're probably wearing it so it will keep you warm. And I liked that about this, that it was all pretty solid and textured and striped, but not lace. I'm doing it in two colors of Madeline Tosh. Silver Leaf, which is this greeny color, light kind of green, and Sulfur, which is this gold color. And then to tie it all together, I had, again from Stash, this Marigold Jen color in Sandman, sorry, couldn't read my own writing. And you can see it has the green, it has the sulfur yellow, it has all of that. So I'm hoping it'll tie it together. I'm not that far, and it's all tangly, of course, but I really love kind of what it's doing so far. So for some reason, this is not a really big rib at the bottom, and it keeps curling up. So I'm assuming that will work itself out when I block it. But as you can see, the stripes, because that I'm striping with a color that's very variegated, I don't know if you can see, it actually has a really neat, there, that gives you a little better look, a really neat look. So that's it so far. And it's, again, a really easy knit, easy to work on. This is the tag for Marigold Jen, and the color is Sandman. And this is the Mad Tosh in Silver Leaf. And that was an older tag, and here's the newer tag, the Mad Tosh, and this is the DK Twist in Sulfur. So I am almost 100% sure this will be a gift. As I said, I live in Texas. It doesn't really get that cold, and these aren't really my colors. I just love them, but they're not really my colors. So guessing that'll probably be a gift. So that gets us through very quickly FOs and whips. Okay, so I said it was my birthday month. And as we do sometimes as knitters, we know that not everybody is going to know the knitty things that we love, and so we have to give them to ourselves. And I've been very good. I've been working very hard at budgeting and trying to be a less tempted knitter, a less tempted buyer when I look at Instagram or watch podcasts. I had the tendency to just sort of click and put stuff in a shopping cart and order it, and yeah, it was not exactly great, and that's why I have this ginormous stash. So I'm trying to be a little more purposeful. I'm still buying stuff. I'm not on a yarn diet completely, but I'm limiting how much I can spend. But again, it was my birthday month, so I did get two things. It started because Fringe Supply showed new town bag colors in Fig, and I am a pinky purpley person and had never gotten the town bag, even though I have a couple field bags, and I really loved it. I loved the wax canvas and this color, and as soon as I clicked on it, it was gone, and I thought, well, that's that. And then Candace from Farmer's Daughter Fibers posted, guess what, I have the town bag in Fig, and I was like, oh no, oh good, oh bad. So of course I ordered it, and it couldn't come to me without some of Candace's gorgeous yarn. So I got the Juicy DK in York and this gorgeous Porch Pumpkin, and I'm not sure what they'll be, but they will go into stash. I have tons of DK now, and I'm making a lot of hats and shawls that use DK, and you know, mitts and all sorts of fun things. So these will be something pretty. So I'm excited about that. And then the other purchase, many of you I'm sure get the Webs catalog, and lots of times I'm just not super impressed with what is going on in terms of their patterns and the way they lay it out. But this time they had a huge Noro display, and I'm really partial to Noro. As you can tell, I'm really a color person, and those long color shifts really do some interesting things. So they had a great Noro spread, and what was really interesting was, I think Sandy of the Lakeside fame had just gone to Espace Tricot in Montreal and had purchased one of these giant Noro balls. I don't know if it was the same kind, but I was obsessed with it. And then when the Webs catalog came and I saw they had it, I could not resist. So this is Noro Ito, I-T-O. It's the colorway number 16, lot A. And I got two because I didn't know what I would want to be doing with it. Maybe that'll be the screenshot. That's kind of weird. Anyway, it is 200 grams and 400 meters. So that's a lot of yarn. It's nubby. I mean, I'm not sure how fun it's going to be to knit with. I can already tell here, you really can't see it, but it's like there's a knot, which I think is a really bad sign to get a yarn, and right on the outside you see a knot where it's tied together. Does not make me happy. But we'll see. I mean, at the very least, I could do a cowl, a hat, and whatever I do could be really simple and the yarn would shine. So that's Noro Ito. And that's it for purchases. So that's the end of the Stashing the Joy, and then I have one more section, which is other kinds of joy. And I have two great recommendations for you today. Sometimes you stumble on something on Netflix that you just can't believe everybody isn't talking about. And that happened to me with Last Tango in Halifax. It is loosely based on a true story. It is about two older people who were sort of crushing on each other when they were like, 15 or something, 14, 15. One moves away and they both end up widowed, and with the help of grandchildren getting them on Facebook, reunite and start this romance up again. And what is so lovely about the show is not only the extraordinary level of acting in it, but the humanness of the story. The writer is incredibly gifted and the actors are really talented, and it's fun. It's to see this gorgeous countryside. But there's just something magical about this, and I don't think if you start watching it, I don't think you will be disappointed. I've gone through the whole 3 episodes now. At the end, I was literally like parsing them out slowly so that I wouldn't get finished. And I remember that feeling as a kid reading a series, and you were coming to the end of the last book in the series and you just didn't want it to end because you knew that that was the end of the story. So I've read on the internet there may be another season at some point. I don't know, but I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's really, really fun and wonderful and beautifully done and sad and interesting and real, even though it's made up. It's just really good. So that's Last Tango in Halifax. And then the other recommendation today is from Amazon Prime. It is a sweet little movie called The Bookshop. And again, it's just sort of a period piece set in the 1950s. You can tell I'm an Anglophile. It's set in Britain in a small coastal town, and a widow tries to open a bookshop, and there is resistance. And it's just a sweet, lovely little film. And I don't think there's much in it that would be controversial. I think people of different sort of interests would like it. Certainly if you are bookish, like I am, it's really one of those films that touches a chord. So anyway, that's all I've got. Happy September. Hopefully where you are, it feels like fall. It certainly doesn't feel like fall here yet. But I hope we're hopefully out of the worst of the rainy season, and we'll get some cooler weather soon. So happy knitting. That's all I've got. And enjoy knitting and sharing the joy. Bye.